Hello and welcome to this episode of Carmen's Coaching Corner. And today's episode is a little different because I don't necessarily have, a coaching tool per se to share with you, but I do have an excellent guest on my show this morning or today called Lenna Shepard. And Lenna, am I saying your name right?
Yes.
Okay, Lenna, I'm just making sure because I'm terrible with pronouncing names correctly and I'm working on it. And Lenna is in the field of wellness and detoxifying the body. And in particular, today's episode, I want us to focus on a conversation on thermography. And if you haven't heard of thermography, we're going to touch upon it during this short video today. And I'm going to ask Lenna to introduce herself because I'm sick of reading people's bios off a piece of paper when I have a guest on my coaching corner. So Lenna, if you don't mind, would you mind introducing yourself and what you do? Thank you.
Well, my name is Lenna Shepard. I have been in the wellness industry for about 20 plus years. And thermography is my key of wellness because it can tell us so many things about the body that we don't find in an x-ray, and we can see it years and years before it becomes a problem.
Yeah, and I have been using Lenna now for about 4 years, I think. Yeah. I have basically replaced doing my mammography with thermography. And there's a number of reasons I did that. A, because of what I've learned through Lenna's teachings, and also because my experience with mammography has been kind of horrendous, to the point where I went for one and they squeezed my breast so hard that liquid came out of the nipple. And it might be too graphic for some of you to hear, but that's true. And I really just reinforced for me how thermography is nowhere near as invasive as that. It doesn't give you any kind of radiation. And I'm not saying this is, and I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but I'm just wanted to do this video so that people could be aware of the benefits of thermography, and not necessarily to replace mammography, but that's your choice. But to really kind of bring more awareness to this mode of it's not just about breast health, right, Lenna? It's also about whole body health, right?
Right. So we're seeing all kinds of precursors to all kinds of diseases. Heart disease is still number one killer with men and women, and we're seeing all those precursors: the estrogen dominance, the lymphatic congestion, hormone imbalances. So there's all kinds of things that we see happening. And when we see that going down a bad path, and there's ways to correct all of that very easily with supplementation and detox, and then we have a path to go that we can clean it all up.
Yeah, so can you just explain to somebody what, if they've never done it before, what's the experience like? Because I can tell them from my point of view, but if you wouldn't mind telling them what is it what's the experience like for somebody having a thermography appointment?
Well, basically, it's non-invasive. It's no radiation, no compression, 97% accurate. We're looking at the body differently than an x-ray. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing, like I said, all those precursors, things that an x-ray would not be able to pick up. So it's just a different way of looking at the human body, but it causes no harm.
And so in an appointment, what typically happens?
You'll come in, and it's not very long. It doesn't take long, less than 30 minutes. You come in. The most uncomfortable part, I think, for most is that you do have to get naked.
Yes, you do.
And I keep the lights all dimmed down so that you're not feeling too exposed. You got to chill to that room temperature to about 70 degrees for about 10 minutes. And once you're acclimated to that room temperature, the pictures go very quickly, and it's you're not laying down, you're actually just standing up and doing a few poses. And we send those off to a team of doctors that put a full report together. About 10 days later, we receive that report back via email. I email that to you, and then we set up a time to go over it. And then there's many sections of what the doctors are seeing, and then we kind of correlate from past scans and see the improvement, or if things aren't getting better, then we figure out who do I go to next to figure out what to do here?
Yeah, and I'm just going to share with everybody my own personal experience is that it's super easy, relax. Lenna makes it so makes you feel so comfortable, especially when you're stripping naked, right? And it's a special camera that you use, right? That picks up all the different heat within the body. Is that right? I know I'm not explaining it correctly.
It's an infrared camera. It's
Okay.
the same cameras that are used in the droids that go over Afghanistan. So we're seeking the heat. Thermography was first developed by the military with the night goggles, and of course advanced quite a bit. That was back in the 50s, and advanced to medical thermography now. Thermography is actually used for many different, for buildings and for equipment and machinery to make sure it's not overheating. And so there's all kinds of things that it looks for besides, but ours are medical.
So what would you say the main difference is between, for example, if you're getting a mammography test versus an examination versus a thermography examination? What is the thermography picking up that maybe the mammography exam is not? What are you seeing through the images that may not be being picked up on mammography?
Oh, there's many things. Because we're looking at the body differently. We're not only looking at heat and cold, but we're also looking at vascular patterns. Vascular patterns, or your blood vessels, should stay the same throughout a lifetime. If all of a sudden we start to see movement of them all going a different direction, that's our big red flag that it's going to feed a tumor. So we kind of look at that and correlate with, like I said, the past scans. And then, like I said, we're seeing estrogen dominance or hormone imbalances, lymphatic congestion, toxicity levels. So we're looking at all these things. And then let's start cleaning up your environment and see how much we can clean up and see how much we can improve your scan for next visit.
Yeah, so one of the things that I did as a result, I think, of my very first thermography with you, Lenna, is that I saw there was a lot of toxins in my body, and it's mostly, I think a lot of it was environmental, not just from what I was eating, but the environmental cleaning products that I was using and things like that. And one simple thing that I did was I switched from using detergents that had fragrances to them, and used scent-free laundry detergent, cleaning products. I'm still kind of weaning myself off certain things, but like in my shower, for example, I use a soap, a body wash that doesn't have any fragrance to it. And that's just a simple thing that you can do pretty much immediately to kind of reduce the toxins that you're putting into your body from the products that you use. What are a couple of other things that you can do that you've shared with me, Lenna, to help remove toxins from the breast? You've talked about supplements, but what else is there that you can do that's an easy thing? So
when we're seeing estrogen dominance, it's usually coming from plastics that we're possibly drinking our water out of a plastic bottle, storing food in plastic containers. The phthalates, which you talked about, which is that artificial chemical that creates the scent. And we all like scent. It's one of the keys to our memory, and it triggers all kinds of feelings. So we always want that scent, but we have to remember those scents are artificial and they're a chemical. And we've taken pictures of one young girl whose body was fine, and then she started using a laundry soap that had the phthalates in it, and her estrogen went off the charts right where her uniform was.
Right.
So it was interesting how that was touching her skin and it was causing that estrogen dominance. So you think that, oh, that little bit isn't going to hurt, but every little thing that we can do to reduce the stress of the body and avoid those the toxic overload, the better.
Right.
And so those are some of the little things: getting rid of your Teflon pans, the phthalates, the artificial scents, and our cleaning our cleaning supplies are some of the worst chemicals out there, and we tend as women to be mostly the cleaners, but so we have to just watch all of it. I switched everything just to white vinegar. I mean, I'm a simple girl. White vinegar, peroxide. I don't spend a lot of money on household cleaners. you can add, like to white vinegar, some citrus, grapefruit or peels in there to make it smell a little bit better. Or if you want to put some essential oils in it, you can. So there's all kinds of helpful, and it's not expensive. It's not hard.
No.
It's just simple. Just to simplify our lives.
And that's one of the things I did with my fragrance-free detergent is I love essential oils. I've got like, you know, a whole box of essential oils. And so what I started to do was add essential oils to my laundry detergent to give it a natural fragrance. I've now switched from using the store-bought window cleaner, for example, to now using vinegar and water solution, because that's much more natural. And the thing that, in addition to what you shared with me and how you've educated me, Lenna, is that one of my girlfriends whose ex-husband was a nurse in a hospital, they would see people coming in with cancers, not because they were smokers, but because of cleaning products, because they were heavily exposed to different cleaning products. And one of the worst offenders that this girlfriend of mine shared with me was window cleaning products.
Yes.
And we all know what it is, and I don't want to say the name of the products, but as soon as she shared that with me, she said to me, Carmen, because she saw it in my cupboard, and she said to me, Carmen, if you're using that, she goes, you need to stop using that right now. She said, or if you insist on continue to using it, she said, spray, but don't breathe in when you're spraying it. She said, I can't tell you how many people have come into the hospital with basically toxins in the body through the chemicals that you're breathing in as a result of, you know, using those kind of cleaners. And it's got nothing to do with what you typically would associate somebody coming into hospital for kind of those cancers and things like that. So when she shared that with me, that just further kind of reinforced what you shared with me as well. And I immediately just stopped using it, and I've just switched to, I have basically a sprayer in my cupboard under the sink now that has a vinegar water solution in it, you know, equal parts of each, depending on how strong you want the vinegar to be. And it works brilliantly. I mean, I use it on my windows, I use it on different surfaces around the house. And I've actually noticed a difference in my own health, because before, when I would finish cleaning my house, my skin would just feel so tight and dried out because of all the different chemicals I was using to clean my home. And that was just because I wasn't educated and I didn't know any differently.
Right.
But now that I've learned through what you've been teaching me, how to live a less toxic life kind of thing through the products that I use, and I'm so grateful for that. I've really made some changes in my home, and the other change that I made was I've switched from plastic Tupperware to glass Tupperware. And again, you know, it's just little things that you can do to just help to reduce the stress on the body, right? And live a healthier life.
Yes. Yes,
So
and it doesn't have to be complicated. You know, the other thing that, you know, our water intake has to be clean. And that's the other, you know, be sure that you find a filtration system that works for you. I like to use the Berkey, and it's on stainless steel that's on the counter, and it filters out 99.9% of the chlorine, the fluorides, and any pharmaceuticals. Clean water is a huge component to clearing out all those toxins. So once they're there, sometimes they're not that easy to get rid of. So you have to kind of go to a little bit of an extreme to start that detox process. And clean water is one of a huge one. The other one is our air. You know, we're exposed every day to, and our homes are some of the worst chemicals. Everything's off-gassing. Our carpets are off-gassing. Our clothes are off-gassing. I know one thing that they are really stressed nowadays is to make sure that if you buy anything new, do not wear it until you've washed it first, because in other countries they actually dip that fabric into formaldehyde and all kinds of different chemicals. Then they send it here, and then we just put it on. Of course, we're absorbing all that. So definitely, somebody will even put some of their new clothes out in the garage to off-gas it for 2 weeks before they even came in and washed it. So there's, you know, you do what you can do, but I definitely started, you know, washing anything that I buy at a store, or I just go to Goodwill and get stuff that's already off-gassed and washed. Find some good finds there.
Yeah, I've got some great clothes at Goodwill. And for those of you who don't know what Goodwill is, especially if you're not from the US, it's basically the equivalent of a thrift store. Well, it is a thrift store where you can get gently used clothing at a greatly reduced cost. So that's another way that you can also save some money, right? So, Lenna, how can people get hold of you if they want to book a thermography appointment with you or learn a little bit more about the supplements? What's ways they can contact you?
They can contact me through my cell phone. It's 253-686-0565. And because that's on my cell, you can text or call. And then there's also my email is info@Attainable Health Solutions.
Okay, thank you. And I will, and you have a website, right? Or do you?
Attainable Health Solutions, .com.
And I will include all Lenna's information in the verbiage that accompanies this Coaching Corner video. Lenna, thank you so, so much for saying yes to being on this episode of the Carmen's Coaching Corner. And I hope that everybody has found this information extremely useful. And as always, in love and light to your transformation and growth, Carmen. And Lenna.
Thanks so much, Carmen.
To get started, please call or email me or schedule an appointment on my website.